Hello, hi. Welcome to Wonderslut. I just hit this willy-nilly. Hello, hi. Welcome to Wonderslut. Let me switch over my device and make sure my thing is turned up. My name is Rebekah Crosby. I am wandering through the topic of what it looks like to embody spirituality and why that is so significant. And I have been on this journey, I would say, for, I don't know, let's just say 9 years. That seems like a good number. And also, I'm apparently completing a 9-year cycle according to my numerology and astrology charts. So that works for me. So 9 years. And it got real intense around the time that I discovered that energy healing in your body was a thing. And I had my son almost died when he was 10 months old. I know I've told this story before, in a drowning accident. And that sent my body into a very complicated state of trauma. And my responses were incredibly erratic. I think you could probably have diagnosed me as manic during that stage. I was up and down. I was chaotic. I was a lot like the puppy I just got. She nervously pees all the time, everywhere. She knows you're about to pick her up, she pees. She sees you come in the room, she pees. You first let her out of her cage, she pees. She is a nervous peer. So she's just like all over the place. She is the cutest thing ever. And also, we are working through some issues with the peeing, but it is what it is. She's just doing what she knows to do. Her little sweet nervous system is so fucked up. And I know a lot of people like this. I myself was one. So when I discovered that there was some actual physical relief to me going to therapy and doing EMDR, which, if you don't know anything about that, it's a therapy that combines the two hemispheres of the brain, as I understand it. And I remember sitting in my trauma therapist's office and feeling my body change while I was listening to headphones that had alternating beeps in opposing ears as I walked through the traumatic experience of finding my son in the bucket. And it was like an immediate relief in my body. And that was so incredibly curious to me. I was like, what is actually happening? I don't even understand what's happening. And then I went to Reiki and she did energy healing on me. And that was equally fascinating because I got immediate relief out of a 1-hour session of her just moving energy through my body. And of course, we talked about, emotions that I was feeling before we went into the session. And so she would kind of have an indication of what part of the body to focus on. But when it was over and she would ask me specific questions like, how did you feel? And that was kind of part of the session, is to pay attention to all the things as she's moving energy through your body. You're paying attention to how you feel in your body, any areas that just kind of suddenly relax into ease and acceptance. And it was so fascinating to me. And once that concept was triggered in me, and I was able to heal my nervous system enough to start understanding concepts of higher consciousness. I was giving my body permission to experience and to wander through ideas that previously had been incredibly threatening to me. Anytime we are doing something that is oppositional to how we have been raised or programmed to believe, not any fault of my parents or anybody necessarily, specifically, we're all just like doing what we know to do, okay? This is not a judgment against anybody. But I inherited really toxic narratives about how to move through the world as a human being, as a woman, as a mother, as a Christian, as all of these things. And all of that programming that was full of scarcity and disconnection and fear lived in my nervous system. And so everything that was wrapped up in those concepts felt safe to me. So then I was perpetuating fear in my life and anxiety and depression and chaos and disconnection and feeling like I wasn't worthy. All of these things were just programming that I was living out because my nervous system was used to those behaviors and that way of thinking. But when I started healing the pain in my energetic body, I was giving my nervous system license to roam through ideas of what if this isn't truly who you are, Rebekah? What if this isn't truly how you are meant to show up in the world? What if this is not at all your blueprint? And you've just been told these stories by other people that have nothing to do with you, that you have inherited because your nervous system was in a program of stay small, stay hidden, stay compliant, stay in codependence, people pleasing, all of these things. My nervous system felt good. And it wasn't until I healed my body of the stuck emotion and the pockets of repression and trauma that I had stored in my cells when I knew it was free. I felt free enough to start going into topics that previously scared the shit out of me, like leaving Christianity. That's all that I've known. In fact, I am like a generational Christian, right? And I'm in a very, very large family on both sides. My mom and my dad are one of 9 and one of 13. And especially on my dad's side, there are lots of Baptist ministers and, they are Bible-based people. They are in the Bible Belt. It's beautiful. I'm not saying anything necessarily about them, but I was very stuck in that tradition of faith and belief because that's all I knew. And so to break out of that, which is kind of like breaking free of a cult, I had to feel safe enough to move through those concepts of what if everything I've been told about spirituality is just a very small piece of the pie. And it was not until I moved here to Goldthwaite, Texas, this tiny town. I uprooted my boys from New Orleans and moved them. They started school the next day, and I was given permission by my family to just take 3 months off to just heal and find myself and figure out what I was going to do. I left my business behind in New Orleans that I had owned for 13 years and so I was in major upheaval. And it was such a gift to me. I went and I walked and I talked to the cows and I cried and I did yoga in this tree house, and the universe, God, source, creator brought me people along the way that would help me navigate and give me tools and resources of perhaps you could try this, and breath work is a thing, and um, human design. I was introduced to human design during that period. I really dug into astrology during that period. I discovered Joe Dispenza during that period, and Greg Braden, and if I'm saying his name right, and Zach Bush, and all these very forward, progressive thinkers who were brilliant men who had gone into those spaces. Ram Dass was reincarnated in my life, and Thich Nhat Hanh, I never say his name right, and Michael Singer, and who else? So many people were introduced, reintroduced, and my brain was just buzzing with a possibility of awakening and becoming enlightened. And I grounded every day, and I swang on that fucking swing that I still swing on every day. But back then, 3 years ago, it was a different Rebekah that was swinging, because I was swinging out my pain. I was letting it leave my body in hordes, in waves, and I could just feel it. The tension in my chest and the nervousness in my stomach and the anxiety that I felt when I was in social situations, and I was just in constant turmoil in my body. I just always felt it. I had to run to the bathroom to cry all the time, and somebody would say something to me and I would be triggered and go into like this emotional collapse, and I would fight with my parents and have these like awful moments of just complete emotional dysregulation that was very alarming, to myself and other people. But it was like waves of pain that had been living inside of me in the very cells of my biology just be released. It was like this, I had awakened the Kraken. And when I finally, and I would say this is just in the past 6 months, I don't know. Let me think through this, because I always say that when I knew that I was emotionally regulated finally, and my nervous system was in a state of cohesion, perhaps, was when I told my dad that I didn't care if he was proud of me, because I was proud of myself. And I kept my composure, and I think that happened. I think that was about 10 months ago. And I was waiting for my body to react. I was waiting to get upset and start shaking and to engage in some sort of confrontation with him. And nothing came. I just felt completely safe to speak my truth. And it wasn't in a rebellious, ugly way. It was just, and he didn't even necessarily trigger this. I feel like I probably prompted the conversation. So this is not saying anything against my father. He's a beautiful human being. But he was always the one that was able to trigger me, right? He could say one word to me and I would take it wrong and go into a complete breakdown. And I was like, okay, Rebekah, oh my God. And of course, I cried like a fucking baby after that, when I went back to the park to swing, because I knew something significant had just happened. And I just felt so full of gratitude. Like, oh my God, we finally did it. We did it. Now you can move through the world freely authentically as yourself, not negotiating your worth with anybody. Anybody. Full stop. Nobody ever again will be able to speak over your voice to tell you who you are. You know yourself and trust yourself so deeply and so implicitly that nothing will ever be able to shake that again. And I cannot tell you the incredible amount of peace when you take spirituality into your body and you claim it as yours. It changes everything about how you move through the world. Everything. Because then you're no longer afraid of anybody. No longer are you intimidated or insecure, or of course there's still pieces of that pop up, but God, now I'm so good at putting my hand over my heart and just saying, we are safe. This person is not going to eat you. It is okay if they don't like you. Everything is for your highest good. Because I have fucking drilled that into not just my brain, not just my subconscious, but into my body. I love all over her. I take baths where I'm just so worshiping her, thanking her for all that she has done for me and the ways that she has shown up for me when nobody else did, the ways that she had my back and she was protecting me and making sure that I was safe all the time. And now our idea of safe is different than it used to be. Our idea of safe is you are divinely protected and guided. So unconditionally loved. Abundance and joy are your birthright. And it is okay if nobody knows that. It is okay if nobody supports that idea in you, because you know, and you are the divine in human form, and that supersedes everything. There's nothing that trumps that. Nothing. And I was thinking, you know, in this like dating world of, I've been on a dating hiatus for a little bit, sort of. I've made some interesting choices, you know, sexually, but it's fine. It is what it is. Just honoring how I show up in all the ways. No shame. But largely, I've just not engaged in any real intimate relationship with anybody that, you know, is a soul connection for me, because I just felt like I just needed a minute to myself. And one of what I have discovered, and this was partly why I took a break, was I needed to find out what I wanted, what I was looking for, what was appealing to me, and what was attractive, and um, all the things. And one of the most attractive things about people in general is that they are present with you. They're present and aware and connected. They see you. They're listening. They're not thinking about what they're going to say next. They are just alive and paying attention and not missing anything. And there are plenty of people in the world that do that without knowing that they're doing that, you know. And the spiritual community loves to say that they do that, but embodying your enlightenment is a completely different way of showing up in the world than just saying it with your mouth. Because then your monkey brain is still in control. You just have different facts that you're spouting. But so I did this dive on ChatGPT, and I asked it, is healing your nervous system key to awakening? Because I don't believe that you can get there without your nervous system feeling steady enough to absorb the information. So this is what it said. This is so fucking beautiful. And I realize that ChatGPT is just regurgitating me back to me, but I don't give a shit. I find her incredibly enlightening. So thank you so much. Your nervous system's first priority is safety, not enlightenment. When you encounter intense emotion, expansion, or spiritual awakening, the body interprets it as potential danger because it disrupts what's familiar. The sympathetic system, your fight or flight, activates to keep you safe from perceived threat. The dorsal vagal system, which is freeze or shut down, protects you from overwhelm by numbing or dissociating. So when the nervous system feels unsafe, awakening feels like chaos, not liberation. That's why spiritual bypass happens. People try to ascend out of the body before the body feels safe enough to let consciousness expand. The paradox, the same system that resists awakening is also the only portal to it. The body holds all the unprocessed emotion, trauma, and conditioning that veil awareness. When you start to breathe deeper, feel your sensations, or move energy through your body, you're actually teaching your nervous system it's safe to feel, it is safe to be present. That safety allows the prefrontal cortex, your awareness, to come back online. From there, awakening stops being an idea and becomes embodiment. Unregulated awakening, where someone forces open consciousness without grounding in the body, can feel like psychosis or burnout. It's a system saying too much, too fast. Integration must follow expansion. The body has to catch up to the soul's light. The nervous system doesn't block awakening out of malice. It does so out of love. It is protecting the vessel until it's strong enough to carry more voltage. What the fuck? The science of regulation and consciousness. When you're regulated, your heart rate variability is high, your vagus nerve is engaged, alpha and theta brain waves dominate, the same states linked to meditation and mystical experience. The insular cortex, the brain center for interoception, lights up, connecting body sensation with emotional awareness. Regulation literally makes the brain more integrative. What? Integrative, which is the same as becoming more awake. In short, every breath that deepens your regulation is an evolutionary act. Awakening isn't escaping the body, it's redeeming it. The body is where light meets density, where heaven becomes earth. When you honor your nervous system, you're not slowing down your awakening, you're making it sustainable. You don't transcend the body, you train it to hold more God. I'm going to say that again, and I'm going to try to say it without crying. You don't transcend the body, you train it to hold more God. What the actual fuck? Your nervous system is learning the language of God when you learn to embody consciousness, awakening, thinking for yourself, not following programs and systems of belief that have previously worked for you. You were at a threshold in your life. We all get there because I feel like the spirit is always calling us to be authentic. Always. We are not rats trained to behave a certain way. I mean, we are. But you have a choice. You can break out of it and start actually living your life however the fuck you want to live it. Without shame, without fear of how people respond to you. Just knowing, with this deep sense of knowing that you are the divine in human form, knowing that your sovereignty supersedes anyone else's opinions of how you should show up in the world. Your sovereignty is it. It's the baseline through how you move through the world. I trust myself above all else. And I know in Christianity, they say that is that is a slippery slope. You should not trust yourself above God. The divine lives in me. Okay, that's what Jesus was saying. You can read it however you want, but the Holy Spirit is inside of me, guiding and directing me. If I cannot trust my fucking self, I cannot trust anyone. Period. There is no ifs, ands, and buts, because that is connecting me to the source of all things. This energy of unconditional love, for whatever reason, that is a fuel that moves us towards evolution. It's so fascinating to me. And, you know, I have been around men that are incredibly smart logically. They believe that they are the ones that are supporting this nation because they are so smart and so competent and, you know, whatever else, whatever accolades that they want to give themselves. But they are the most disruptive people to be around because they feel so chaotic in their energy. They're not steady, they're not stable, they're not solid. They feel like my puppy in their spirit. They can't pay attention to you to save their life. They talk over you. They're anxious to be seen and heard. They're not present. They're not making eye contact. They are dysregulated. You say one wrong thing to them and they get up and storm out because you have offended their sense of right and wrong, or offended their sense of duty in the world, or whatever it is. And these are the people that are, you know, have previously been given all the titles, all the things, all the whatevers, because it's been built on this notion that you have to earn anything good. And I do feel like we're in a state of being where that is being turned on its head, and the people that know who the fuck they are going to show us a different way to exist in the world. And I'd like to think that I'm on that bandwagon, and it's just all about unconditional love of ourselves and other people, and learning to be present when our bodies previously told us to fight or flee or freeze or shut down. What's the other one? And now we're like, as people start to heal their nervous systems, the light will start to flood in, and they will become enlightened to the fact that they are not a victim. They had the power all along. They're of significant worth just simply by existing. And you'll know it because they'll just be the coolest people in the room, just exuding this light of pure peace and joy and love, and this steady rock, which I believe is what Jesus embodied. And he wasn't the savior. He wasn't it. He was just embodying what we all have the ability to embody. It's the truth. You are the divine in human form. So fucking act like it. And also maybe heal your nervous system first. Bye.